Assalamu alaikum, this is MD alias God. Welcome to new another parts video of Planet Automation Limited. Today I want to describe about the programming of analog programming in Logo software, okay, or Logo PLC. So friends, my previous video that was about 29 videos about the programming of digital programming. If you missed up any video, please watching the previous video. I hope you guys must be some knowledge about the digital programming, okay friends. So now I'll start to this video about the analog programming in Logo PLC Logo Soft Comfort B6.1 software. Okay friends, this is the most valuable sequence in our any kinds of factory level when you are controlling of or any kinds of analog devices. The times you understand must be coming of analog sequence on analog components, how much and how we are apply of our this sector. Okay friends, no more late, let's start the video. First I want to describe about the programming sequence what you will have in this video. So friends, let's go to the main topics. Today's topics is analog programming. What is analog? 2 is the difference between analog and digital programming. 3 is when apply digital or analog program, both are single. This is the most valuable questions or curiosity of any kinds of normal man. They are knowing about the programming sequence for the beginner levels. They want to know what is the analog, what is the digital, analog and digital, what is the programming sequence, and what is the difference between what is the main kinds of difference between both of us. So friends, the difference between analog and digital programming also we have in this video. When apply digital or analog programming, both are single. When you are specifically apply of your digital programming, or when you are apply of your analog programming, or both in a single diagram or single panel. Must be need both or single of your programming sequence of your any kinds of industry, because industry not valued or not controlled by of any kinds of devices. This must be needed digital or analog, both of kinds of devices in our factory. So friends, let's go to the main topics of this here. What is analog? Analog is the signal, okay, that is the variation of time to time, okay. It's every second is changing, every not a second, every nanosecond is changing of your any kinds of devices signals. It's called the analog. So friends, let's go to the definitions of here. Analog is an electronic communications. Analog, that means it's also called the analog, okay, is an electronic communication sent a signal of varying frequencies instead of on or off like a digital data transmissions. It's also variations on or off. That means it's every nanosecond is changing of these directions. Is absolutely we are called to this also is sine wave, okay. Analog is an adjective that describe a continuous measurement or transmissions of a signal. This is the most important of our these sessions. We are not consumed of these situations also, because digital is dependent of the two sessions, on or off. That means high or low. But your analog signal is every second or every nanosecond is changing their value. Okay, it is often contrasted with digital, which is how computers store our process using 1 or zeros. That means your zero level to static. Okay, this is zero level of we are know this is the zero axis, and this is from your increasing of your times, and this is the maximum 90 degree we are called this also. And again the negative sequence is decreasing, and it's a negative wave. It's a positive and it's a negative. Also it's an amplitude. It's a maximum amplitude of your OS, of your temperature, of any kinds of analog signal, which your measurement of our destination part of our environment. Okay, so friends, this is the analog signal. Now I want to describe what is the difference between analog and digital. The times you're clear of this topics here. So friends, this is the difference between analog and digital programming. Digital is like of this this is the digital wave, 0 and 5. 5 is the maximum and 0 is the minimum. Okay, this is the minimum condition and this is the maximum condition. These two stages is the vary of our digital signals. Otherwise analog is variation every seconds of this here. When we are consumed, this is the measurement also. This also causes of our this sequence. This is also every time changing of our values. So first, otherwise digital not is changing. This is a fixed 0 or 5. That means low level or high level. This is two condition of digital signal. That means digital, that means digit dependent on digit, or analog is smoothly changing of every seconds or every nanosecond in our practical life. So friends, let's go to the definitions of digital signal. Digital signal must have a finite set of possible values. The number of values in the set can be anywhere between 2 and a very large number that is not infinity. Most commonly, digital signals will be one of two values, like either 0 volt to 5 volt. That means 0 volt, that means off conditions, and 5 volt, that is the maximum level of your load is on. These are two conditions. You're controlling of any kind of switch. That means when switch is off, that means 0 level, your load is off. This is the digital conditions, and when you are on of your load, so that means this is the 5 volt or maximum level. So friends, these are two steps of digital signal or digital levels of your any kinds of devices here. Otherwise, it is the analog signal. This is the variations of every steps of your every nanoseconds in your sequence of your temperature, sound, so mostly which is devices controlling by analog signals here. So friends, this is the analog waves are smooth and continuous. Digital waves are stepping, square, and discrete. This is the main difference between analog and digital. Digital waves are stepping. This is the step must be. There is the two steps here, 0 or 5. Okay, and a square. This is square wave. Digital wave also called the square wave, and discrete. And this is the also discreting here. So friends, otherwise is the analog is we are called to the this is a sine wave. Okay, this is the sine wave means this is the sine signals as like as a 0, 45, 90, and 75. This is increasing and decreasing. So these are levels from the 0 to high level and 0 to minimum levels also. This is the first time is amplitude is high, and then again this is decreasing here. Step by step, this is also all times continuous processing will be running here. So friends, this is not fixed as like as your temperature, room temperature, and natural, which is natural is not fixed. Your breeze flowing, this is not fixed because it is always flowing is any kinds of level here. Your temperature, room temperature is not fixed, 25 degree, 26 degree, 30 degree, 35 degree. This is a variation of your environment. So friends, this is the analog. Your pressure, any kinds of pressure, this is not fixed. This is all time changing of our practical life. It's any higher, any there. So friends, this is the analog. So which is dependent on our environment. It is changing of our environment. That's every second or every nanosecond. This is changing of our practical life. This is called the analog. Okay, I hope you guys understand what is the difference between analog and what is the difference between digital. So friends, more details I want to describe analog and digital here. Analog signal is like as this sine wave, and this is the square wave. Okay, digital signal, these are all time variations in every seconds is changing here, maximum or minimum, and decreasing also every seconds in every nanoseconds here. Otherwise this is 0 and 0 to 5 off or on. This is the minimum level, and this is the maximum level of our signal. Okay, this is also analog signal. This is changing every seconds here. This is the digital. This is the dependent on the 0 1. That is we know where our computer is absolutely all time memorized or digitalized. That means 0 and 1. This is a computer have any kinds of other knowledge without 0 and 1. Is all time converted to their data 0 to the 0 1 1. This is called the digital devices. That's why. So friends, this is the digital, which is dependent on the digit. Okay, so friends, this is the analog watch or clock. We are see to this is the analog changing every seconds here. Otherwise digital is dependent on the digit. Analog meter, the multimeter also. This is the digital multimeter. Okay, digital, which is a show up the digit, and analog, this is a signal cards to cards about the scaling here. So friends, this is the variations of any kind of subdivision. It's variations here. It's also variation, but it show up the digital. That's why it is digital, and this is the analog, and this is digital. Okay. So friends, this is the your analog switch pattern or any kinds of that. This is the digital, which is not pushing off your any kinds of devices. So friends, which is a variation of your every seconds in your life, in your practical life, which is you are not clearly, you are not consumed. Which is changing. Which is changing of every seconds or every nanoseconds. That's called the analog. Okay, so which is depends on your digits, and that's called the digital. Okay, so friends, it's also is your application of your practical life. Okay, so friends, it is a normal concept of our practical life, which is analog and which is digital. Okay, so friends, let's go to the main topics of this part here. This is the when apply digital or analog program, both are single. When we are apply of our factory for the digital program, and when we are apply of our programs for the analog sequence. Digital, now for the digital loads, use the digital program. For the use the analog program. So friends, it's a much more important. Is a digital programs is analog programs. It's a both is many kinds of difference. Also the analog devices or analog program sequence is very understand also. So friends, digital program is very easy. Any man, when you simply try, you can easily do it. But analog sequence, analog program, analog features, this is must be important for any kinds of industrialist when you are going to this level to this of your PLC beginners from this here. So friends, both is important when you are the programming sequence doing something else. Okay friends, digital loads like as normal loads for practical life. This is the light, fan, fridge, motor, of pump. It's also digital loads, that's for because it is the controlled by any kinds of switch. There's the push button switch, selector switch, any kinds of switch. That is the 0 and 1. This is two condition is fixed here. That's why this is the digital loads. Okay friends, this is the digital loads. That's why because it's controlled by digital switch. Okay, 0 and 1, high or low, on or off. That's called the digital loads. And analog devices is very much important in our practical life here. Temperature sensor, RTD. This is the your temperature sensing of your environment, of your factory, of your any kinds of ball sector. When you this is the ranging devices, many kinds of RTD, many kinds of thermocouple. It's dependent on your factory levels. RTD, 3 types of RTD, PT100, PT200, PT300. It's ranging devices. Thermocouples, there is of your applicable sector, which is the range of your temperature is changing or range selected of your devices here. When you are boiler uses, that's some temperature high, that means your RTD 2 or 3 or 300 is the needed of your applicable sector. This is the applicable sector. So this is the temperature sensor. Temperature is not fixed because this is the all-time variation of your of our every practical life or every any kinds of room temperature also. It's not fixed, it's natural. It's some variations of your dependent on your nature. So friends, this is the we are controlling or want to know what is the temperature of our factory right now, what is the temperature of our room right now. It's a measurement must be needed. There's times we are use the RTD or any kinds of meter or temperature meter also. So friends, our digital watch or any kinds of AC, that times we are consumed here. So friends, this is the RTD or thermocouples which are uses of our PCB in here. So friends, many more industry there is a much more temperature is much more needs in the boiler sector of any kinds of sector. That times we are use the RTD 100, 200, 300. Yeah, it's dependent on our factory situations or factory placement here. Thermocouple is also temperature sensor. That is the sensing devices for the temperature. So sound and pressure. There is also 2 types of analog sequence or analog signal. Sound is not fixed. This is the variations of as the sine wave. Pressure, this is also variation. This is not a fixed. So friends, which is all-time variations of our practical life, of our every kinds of situations. That's called the analogs. So friends, this is the most important which analog pressure, sound, temperature in our factory of sector, which is controlling of our devices, is also here. So friends, this is sound or pressure bulb. So friends, which sector, which range of pressure is flow right now here? That's counting is a pressure sensor, is a pressure meter also. So friends, this is a pressure bulb or pressure sensor in every case. This is a gas pressure, any kinds of flow pressure. So friends, which sector of your pressure is measurement is need, that times your this kinds of a pressure bulb is need that place here. This is the actuator. Actuator must be need of our any kinds of analog devices, and many kinds of actuator in our practical life or practical field here, hydraulic, mechanical. This is the pneumatic types of actuator, and this is the electrical actuator. So actuator is the very most important in our every practical life. This is the controlling of any kinds of movement, any kinds of force controlling, which controlling or measurement or any kinds of sector on or off is controlled by the actuator. Movement or any kinds of force, this is very much important of our practical life. Pneumatic actuator is control any kinds of force or movement. This is the electrical. This is the electrical types, any kinds of force or detections, it's ranging and controlling by this electrical actuator. So friends, temperature, sound, pressure, actuator is all kinds of things is controlled by the analog programming or analog sequence here. So friends, this is the analog sector and this is the digital sector. Digital sector is we see that the normally we are users of our devices here, but analog controlling also very hard. So friends, I hope you guys apply of the programming in any kinds of logo PLC, 7200, 300, 1200, PLC after reactor. Are you doing something else in the analog sequence? So friends, this is the most important on of our every practical life. I hope you guys understand. This is the main things of digital and analog programming sequence. So friends, I hope guys you understand why we are apply the digital program and why we are apply the analog signal. So analog programming also. So friends, if you like of this video, please subscribe the channel and click the bell icon. This process will never miss another update, and follow the next video tutorial. Till then, Allah Hafiz.